Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. We are starting our next lecture on five kingdom system, in which we are learning about kingdom Plantae. Plantae. Plantae means plant. So, kingdom Plantae. This kingdom includes multicellular and eukaryotic organisms which are autotrophic in nature. You have learnt about multicellular organisms. Those organisms which consist of more than one cell are called multicellular organisms. Eukaryotic means having true nucleus and membrane bounded organelles. Autotrophic means they can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis as well. Their cell wall is made up of cellulose. As they are plants, so cell wall is made up of cellulose and mostly lack centriole inside their cell. What are centrioles? They are cell organelles which helps in during cell division in the transfer of chromosomes, towards different parts of the cell or nucleus. The reserved food is in the form of starch. The reserved food, it means that the extra food which is present in the body, that extra food is stored in the body in the form of starch. Whereas you have learned in kingdom fungi, the reserved food is in the form of glycogen. The members of kingdom fungi are all heterotrophic. So that's why in heterotrophic organisms the reserve food is in the form of glycogen, whereas in autotrophic plants the reserve food is in the form of starch, means nashasta. Examples are brassica, mulberry, pinus, ferns, etc. Or other than examples in our daily life, rose, mango, etc. But you have seen in your daily life that there are two types of plants, and these types of plants are some flowering plants and some are non-flowering plants. Flowering plants, for example, brassica, rose, mango, etc. Whereas non-flowering plants are mosses, ferns, as well as pinus, etc. Now, here is the summary of this kingdom, that is kingdom Plantae. They are multicellular and eukaryotic. The second point is they are autotrophic in nature. The cell wall is made up of cellulose, but they lack centrioles. The reserve food is in the form of starch. Examples are mango, rose, and non-flowering plants, mosses, ferns, etc. Or in other words, flowering plant and non-flowering plants. If you write in this form, then it is also right. So it's about kingdom Plantae. Now the next topic is, that is kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia, animals, all living organisms which are heterotrophic in nature and they depend on other living host, either on dead organic matter, either on living host, etc. So in kingdom Animalia, this kingdom includes multicellular and eukaryotic organisms which are heterotrophic. Only the difference in Plantae and Animalia. Here you have seen that multicellular, eukaryotic, but kingdom Plantae are autotrophic, whereas kingdom Animalia heterotrophic in nature. These organisms lacks cell wall, but here in Plantae, cell wall is made up of cellulose. The second difference in between Plantae and Animalia. मोस्ट यहाँ पे आप देखो बच्चे कि इन किंगडम प्लांटे दे लेक सेंट्रियोल, बट हेयर इन द केस ऑफ एनिमेलिया centrioles are present. Centrioles are present, they help in the movement of chromosomes. The reserve food is glycogen. as I have told you that in kingdom fungi, the reserve food is also in the form of glycogen. Kingdom fungi are also the members of kingdom fungi are also heterotrophic in nature. They depend on other organisms for their nutrition, as well as animalia. Animalia is also heterotrophic. So the reserve food is glycogen. The members of this kingdom can be split up into two groups, that is vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates, those animals which have वर्टिब्रल कॉलम, वो जानदार जिनमें रीढ़ की हड्डी प्रेजेंट होती है, मौजूद होती है, उन्हें आप वर्टिब्रेट्स कहते हैं. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल आपके पास रेप्टाइल्स, बर्ड्स, मैमल्स, जिनमें आप देखो कंप्लीट स्केलेटल सिस्टम है, कंप्लीट हड्डियों का ढांचा है जो हमें नज़र आता है. सो दे आर द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ वर्टिब्रेट्स. वेयर एज इनवर्टिब्रेट्स, दोज animals which do not have vertebral column are called invertebrates. For example, jellyfish, worms, insects, they are invertebrates, जिन्हें हम invertebrates की कैटेगरी में लेकर आते हैं. अब अगर हम लोग इसकी समरी देखें, kingdom Animalia, multicellular and eukaryotic. They are heterotrophic, they lack cell wall, centrioles are present, the reserve food is glycogen. Two types of animals, invertebrates without vertebral column. Animals are called invertebrates, for example, insects, starfish, etc. Whereas vertebrates, those animals which have vertebral column are called vertebrates, for example, man and lion, etc. After that, look on this page. If we compare these 5 kingdoms one by one, अगर हम इन तमाम को compare करें one by one, so in this 5 kingdom system, only the first kingdom, that is prokaryote. In prokaryote, only prokaryotic organisms are present. जिसमें सिर्फ प्रोकैरियोटिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं. इट मीन्स दैट सिर्फ ये वो किंगडम है जिसमें तमाम ऑर्गेनिजम्स में ट्रू न्यूक्लियस मौजूद नहीं है. वेयर एज रिमेनिंग 4, जो बाकी 4 आपके पास किंगडम्स हैं, इनमें क्या चीज़ है, इनमें तमाम यूकैरियोटिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स मौजूद हैं. बट इन द केस ऑफ किंगडम प्रोटिस्टा, ये समरी है इन 5 किंगडम्स की, बट इन द केस ऑफ किंगडम प्रोटिस्टा, ऑल यूकैरियोटिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स एंड स्मॉल यूकैरियोटिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर प्रेजेंट. यानी वो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म जो यूकैरियोटिक तो हैं, लेकिन मोस्टली जिन्हें ऑब्जर्व करने के लिए हम माइक्रोस्कोप यूज़ करते हैं, वो यूनिसेलुलर भी हैं, मल्टी सेलुलर भी हैं, लेकिन हम लोग मोस्टली एग्जांपल्स को हम लोग अंडर माइक्रोस्कोप स्टडी करते हैं. देन आफ्टर दैट द नेक्स्ट वन इज़ फंजाई. फंजाई क्या है? फंजाई आपके पास यूकैरियोटिक एज वेल एज मल्टी सेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं. अब यहाँ पे आप ये देखें बच्चे, cell wall is made up of chitin in the case of fungi, whereas in the case of prokaryote the cell wall is made up of murine, and in the case of plantae the cell wall is made up of cellulose. तो सेल वॉल आप देखो तीनों जगह पर मौजूद हैं, लेकिन तीनों जगह इसकी कंपोजिशन क्या है, डिफरेंट है. वेयर एज द सेकेंड थिंग, द रिजर्व फूड, the difference in the form of reserve food. In the case of kingdom fungi, the reserve food is in the form of glycogen. In the case of plantae, the reserve food is in the form of starch, whereas in the case of animalia, the reserve food is in the form of glycogen. So it's all about these 5 kingdom system. Inshallah ta'ala, we will cover next topic, next lecture on next day, inshallah ta'ala.